Part 2. The 5 Steps. Chapter 4. Step 1. The List. Finding your ideal foreclosures. Remember Deacon and Jasmine, our fictional first-time auction attendees? Of the two, Jasmine had the most success at auction. She understood the numbers game of foreclosures and played it well, using tools and people to increase the number of potential properties she could consider. Deacon, on the other hand, picked only one property, which never even made it to the courthouse steps. Our experience in the weeks that followed our first purchase was closer to Deacon's. We attended auction after auction, but couldn't seem to buy anything. We struggled to duplicate our original success, but each week we went home empty-handed. The biggest barrier for us, it turned out, was the same one Deacon faced. The homes we were interested in simply weren't appearing at auction like they were supposed to. We would show up at the courthouse ready to bid, but the properties we wanted would be mysteriously absent. Over time, we discovered that only about 20% of properties scheduled for sale on a given date would actually be auctioned that day. Gradually, we began to understand that foreclosures could be delayed or canceled for a host of reasons, including the homeowner paid the outstanding amount. The bank decided to give the homeowner more time, either to pay up or sell the home. The owner filed for bankruptcy. The owner filed a lawsuit to slow or cancel the foreclosure. The home sold before the auction. As we gained experience, we learned that the challenge didn't end there. Of the 20% or so of listings that actually went to auction, perhaps only 50% were a good deal. When you put those two stats together, the need for using a fishing approach becomes very apparent. If you want to buy and auction, not just watch, you need to start with as many potential properties as possible. As soon as we began increasing the numbers of homes we analyzed and the number of auctions we attended, we began to find repeatable success in foreclosures. That brings us to the first of our 5 steps to a successful day at the courthouse: to create a complete list of multiple properties slated for foreclosure instead of focusing on a single property. It's worth it. Before we begin, however, consider one more thing. You might find the statistics above discouraging. After all, for each property you consider, you are, in effect, becoming a kind of private investigator, digging up information and clues that can help you determine a fit and price. All that detective work takes time, so why go through the trouble of creating a list when so many properties either won't be a fit or won't appear at auction? Why not just purchase a list of houses slated for auction and skip all the Sherlock Holmes business? There are 3 good reasons. The first is simply that there's no better teacher than experience. You'll gain a world of in-depth knowledge of the industry, the market, and the foreclosure process by doing the legwork yourself. Even if you decide to purchase a list, running through the process in this chapter just a couple of times will be well worth the effort. The second reason to take the DIY approach is that even if a property doesn't go to auction on the original scheduled date, it might reappear in the future. Most of the reasons that houses don't go to auction are about delay, not deletion. Homeowners may declare bankruptcy, but that just slows the process. They may convince the bank to give them more time, but that doesn't mean they'll be able to catch up on their payments. A home might sell before the auction only to have the sale fall through at closing. We've seen properties postponed at auction a half dozen times before finally selling months later. That means the work you do to build a list now can pay off months or even years down the road. The last and arguably most important reason for trying out list building yourself is that it speaks to one of the main themes of this book: going the extra mile to do what others won't gives you an edge on auction day. When you build a list yourself, you see the source documents, the real data. You know what information is available. By going through the DIY process, you'll be better able to judge the quality of a list for sale. Moreover, in some states and counties, the data in list services is far from complete. Better still, in some areas, no one is doing the research necessary to put those listings online or make them available for purchase. The process of building your own list is more than just an opportunity to educate yourself. In some cases, it's an opportunity to be the only one with the information. And that's the best advantage of all. Lesson: experience is the best teacher and a competitive advantage. Even if you eventually decide to outsource the steps of the process, you'll learn an enormous amount by trying them yourself first. Before you begin, visit the resource page. 1. The easiest way to start compiling your list of foreclosure notices is to use a spreadsheet. You can download a free spreadsheet from our foreclosure resource page at biggerpockets.com/foreclosure bonus. 2. Every county is different. To get a real feel for what searching for foreclosures online is like, we've made a short video to walk you through the process. It's available on the resource page as well. 3. Naturally, you don't have to build your own list. You can buy a list too. The resource site also has information on list vendors. How to build your first foreclosure list. 1. Find the county clerk's office online. Lenders can't just show up and take a house without following due process. Every home that's scheduled for foreclosure needs to have a legal notice filed on it, and that notice is recorded at the county clerk's office. Some states may call this official a county recorder or a recorder of deeds, but regardless of what the official is called, their office is your first stop in creating your list. Simply search for your county with the term recorder, and you should find what you need. 2. Search for notices. Once you find your county recorder online, it's time to start looking for actual foreclosure notices. Not every state posts these notices online, although it's becoming increasingly common. If they're not available online, they're available in person at the recorder's office. That's how it still works where we started, in Sacramento, California. You can search for notices online, but you have to view the actual documents in person. You'll see reference to a document search or a records search or something similar. Each county's website's different. Some offer a free and easy search interface, complete with maps and property information, while others charge a fee. Some are cumbersome and slow. Other counties have almost nothing online, and the only way to get information is to actually go into the office yourself and request it in person. The documents you're looking for are usually referred to by one of the following terms, or something similar. Notice of sale. Notice of trustee sale. Notice of foreclosure. The word notice may or may not appear. Again, each county is different, and their websites also change regularly. If you search for Bell County trustee sale, for example, the first search result is for a list of all foreclosure notices on the Bell County site. Not all counties make things this easy. Some almost seem to go out of their way to make things as tricky as possible, but it's always worth checking first. You simply have to visit each site and start poking around. When you find a notice, you should be able to click on it to view the details of the foreclosure document. If the more complicated county websites seem intimidating, don't be discouraged. After all, the easier the information is to find, the more competition you'll have on auction day. The difficult counties reward the persistent people who are willing to put up a little extra time. 3. Capture the foreclosure notice data. The notice of sale documents you find will contain a range of information, much of which is going to be useful. The key is to start capturing that data so you can sort and analyze it later. Here's some of the information you may find in a foreclosure notice. Legal description of the property. Property address. Lender's name. Loan document name or number. Scheduled sale or auction date. Create a spreadsheet and add anything relevant to it. Again, your best option here is to start with our template at biggerpockets.com/foreclosure bonus. It's free and it'll save you time and ensure you capture all the information you'll need. Remember, what you're looking at is just a foreclosure notice. It's a legal document that tells us that a property is scheduled to be sold at auction, but it doesn't have everything we need. In fact, sometimes it won't even have a complete property address. For that and more, we have to move on. 4. Find and search the county tax records. Unlike the previously mentioned foreclosure notices, county tax records are complete when it comes to property address and owner information. That information is public, and most counties make it available online. Your next job, then, is to find the tax record for any property you've identified in the previous step, usually beginning by searching for the property owner name and/or whatever address information you have. The tax records can provide some critical information you may not find elsewhere, such as complete street address and legal description, property tax status, including any outstanding taxes, year of construction, assessment information, such as assessed or market value, square footage and number or type of rooms. You won't necessarily find all those items, but each bit of information helps. Add it all to your spreadsheet. 5. Search real estate data sources. Once you've finished with the county tax records, it's time to move out of the realm of local government sources and into the wide open spaces of online real estate data. There are numerous online sources for property data, and they change constantly. See our resource page for links. You'll find that some sites work better for some counties. Maybe Redfin is a great choice for the county you're working in, while in another county, Zillow may be best. You can type any address into these sites and find an abundance of extra information for your growing database, including estimated value, estimated rent, square footage, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, etc. Construction date, neighborhood data such as schools and local amenities, interior and exterior photos, mechanical and HVAC info, price and tax history. Much of this will be beyond what you found at the county clerk's office and worth adding to your spreadsheet. At this point, it's also a good idea to pull up a Google map of each property. You'll be able to see the surrounding area and sometimes even see lot divisions to identify property boundaries. Use the Share feature in Google Maps to copy a link to the map. Paste that link into your spreadsheet too. You'll need it for further analysis later, and having the link will save you from searching for the property each time you want to see it. Filtering your list. Complete the previous steps for all the properties in the county that you found trustee sale notices for. Once you've done that, you'll have a list of properties in the form of a spreadsheet where each row contains data on a home scheduled to be sold at auction. While all these homes are scheduled for foreclosure, they're not all of equal interest to you. We're following our fishing rule of simply trying to keep a lot of lines in the water because we know that improves our odds of making a great catch. But, as with fishing, sometimes you catch fish you aren't interested in. Now it's time to throw back all the fish that are too small, too big, too old, etc. We call this filtering the list. We're taking the larger list we've compiled and tossing out everything that doesn't fit our criteria. This filtering process is critical because it A. allows you to apply your future efforts to a smaller number of houses so you don't waste your time and money, and B. helps you identify the homes that fit, those that meet your budget and other criteria. Filtering is your first step toward profitability. When you narrow your list down to just homes that fit, you're vastly improving your odds of being successful. In the chapters ahead, you'll be culling your list a little further, shrinking the list of possibles down to ideals, and putting a price on those you want to bid on. But there are a few filters you can apply right away to shrink your current catch down to fish that look like they might really be worth keeping. If you've built your spreadsheet correctly or used our template, you can sort your listings by any of the following criteria. Price. For most people, this is the very first sorting criterion. There's no point in continuing with the rest of the steps in the process for a house that isn't within your budget. You won't always know in advance what the minimum, if any, bid on a property will be. However, if you've done your homework, you'll know one significant piece of information: the amount owed on the mortgage. Since foreclosure is an effort to recoup an outstanding debt, it's a reasonable assumption that the amount outstanding on the property is a place to begin our price sorting. The trustees charged with auctioning off houses have restrictions on where they start the bidding. While the bidders can drive the price as high as they want, trustees in most areas can't start the bidding anywhere they choose. The upper limit is the amount owed, plus reasonable costs like interest accrued and attorney's fees. That means that if we know the amount of an outstanding debt, we can at least make a guess as to the highest opening bid. A property with a $100,000 outstanding mortgage balance might have a minimum opening bid as low as $0. Trustees can go as low as the lender will allow, or as high as $120,000, but likely not more. If you have a $100,000 auction budget, you're probably not going to bother digging any further on a property with a $200,000 mortgage. It's just not worth the extra legwork. A good rule of thumb: start with properties with outstanding mortgage balances that are close to or less than your available funds. Age. Age is an easy search criterion, and most people use it simply to reduce the potential unknowns of getting a place ready to rent or sell. If you have the interest or skills to do more significant renovations and upgrades, you might look at homes built more than 20 years ago. If you're looking for a good deal on a low-maintenance rental, a newer home is best for you. Location and neighborhood. For many people, location is another easy sort. You might choose counties close to where you live, specific areas where you have some knowledge of the market and values, communities with certain amenities or that lack HOA restrictions, areas that have properties that are more likely to fall within your price range. Remember that sorting is just a tool. You're not committing to buying a property that stays on your list. What you're doing is saying, I'm willing to put some more time into this one. I think it's worth it. Note: should you invest out of state? Budget is often a primary constraint for new buyers, and many consider going farther afield to find properties they can afford. However, there is a trade-off involved. Homes that are closer to you are easier for you to drive by and analyze. If you decide to shop outside your area, make sure you budget for the extra time and expense that will entail. Listing ain't easy. Keep in mind that this process gets much easier with experience. It may seem time-consuming initially, but you'll get better as you become familiar with the listings. Most buyers, especially at first, buy close to home or in a county they're familiar with. As a result, they quickly become comfortable with each county's particular way of doing things. They learn the lingo, where to click, and how to get the most information in the shortest possible time. When you see 20 or 30 different versions of trustee sales receipts and property records, you learn your way around the world of foreclosures quickly. What about the houses that stump you? Don't be afraid to simply let go of a difficult property. Not all properties are created equal. Some demand more time than others. It may be in your best interest to simply skip a property that's more complex than others. Remember, you don't have to buy every property, and you certainly don't have to analyze every single one either. When you're finished filtering your list, you should have a shorter list of properties that are a fit for your interests, skills, and budget. Each one should be a house that you're willing to commit to the next step in the process, the drive-by. Note: for sample notices, spreadsheet templates, and more, visit biggerpockets.com/foreclosure bonus.